Nothing is true, everything is permitted. Whether you've just dipped a toe in its murderous waters or obsessively devoured every hooded entry, you know the Assassin's Creed. You also probably know far more history than you ever learned while staring out of the window in school. A test on the turf wars of Renaissance Italy, you say? No problemo. Maybe leave out the Nintendo reference though. Celebrating its 10th birthday last year, the Assassin's Creed series has leapt through history like a member of the titular hay-loving genetic cult. From 49 BCE Egypt all the way to the turn of the 20th century in Victorian London, Ubisoft's Brotherhood and Templars just haven't been able to kiss and make up. And while some years might have looked like a step back, the history-hopping franchise has been on a fascinating journey. Now, take your seat right here. Nope, it won't hurt a bit. Just relax and let your genetics do the rest. It's time to look at the evolution of Assassin's Creed. The very first stop in our historical world tour is the Holy Land at the end of the 12th century. Yes, it really was all the way back in 2007 when we were introduced to Altair, potentially the sulkiest assassin of all time, who makes later hero Connor Kenway look like a Disney character. But don't let the grump distract from the fact that the first Assassin's Creed gave us everything that we would be toying with for the decade to come. The Animus, Desmond, the Templars, the Hidden Blade, synchronization points that would unfog the map, eagle vision, bustling streets of people carrying smashable objects, the White Room where you talk to your assassination victims, and the glorious concept of social stealth and hiding in plain sight, or, a hay cart. It doesn't matter that you're not even able to crouch, something that this stealth franchise incredibly didn't introduce until mere years ago. Instead, Altair can blend, effortlessly disappearing into crowds of praying monks, vanishing into the background by merely sitting on a bench, or jumping out of sight by diving into a handy rooftop hiding spot. And if you've ever wondered why real-world pigeons make you want to jump off roofs, it was here that the series introduced them as an indicator for a friendly landing below. Everything you do as an assassin is divided handily into high and low profile actions. Those who play Assassin's Creed with a controller are about to get the explanation for that claw you developed and only ditched fully last year for Origins. It doesn't matter that it makes combat a bit like cracking a safe, but hold the high profile button and all your actions switch to much more suspicious ones. You'll free run and climb, assassinate violently instead of a subtle slip of the Hidden Blade, and yes, Altair can even evade guards with some low profile horse stealth. Nice and easy, boy, maybe they'll think we're a small cloud. Sure, the action got repetitive as you saved endless citizens from guards, but Assassin's Creed opened up a sprawling and cinematic universe of open world potential. And, oh yeah, a lot of pointless flags. And here it is, what some see as the true beginning of the free-running franchise, the Dark Knight to Nolan's Batman Begins, if you will, Assassin's Creed 2. Here in sun-drenched Renaissance Italy, running across the rooftops as the charming Ezio Auditore da Firenze, the potential of the grey original was suddenly made very real. This eagle dive into the Animus didn't just open up the eye-meltingly pretty cities of Florence, Tuscany and Venice, but took everything from the first game and made it better in every way. With weaponry designed by Leonardo da Vinci no less, Ezio blends seamlessly into these bustling streets, minding that newly introduced wanted meter, rips down notoriety posters, and clambers the tallest towers to unfog maps of endless side quests and distractions. Social stealth returned with a vengeance here, as not only can he blend with passers-by for the now much maligned tailing missions, but Ezio also hires groups of fighters or courtesans to aid him in his journey. Yep, just point them that way, ladies. Armed with twice the hidden blades, because more is definitely better when it comes to wrist-worn murder accessories, Ezio's combat is slightly easier than Altair's, but counter and attacks still lurk on the same button and fights constantly depend on switching between high and low profile modes. Yet even that can't mar the experience of grander assassination missions, murder from the skies, hunting codex pages, and even upgrading your own perfect town in the shape of Monteriggioni. Every system comes together here with a compelling and heartfelt story and sweeping score to build the Assassin's Creed experience that only a couple of entries have rivaled since. Released only a year after AC2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood had the world suspicious. One open world city instead of several? Incredibly though, what could have felt like a Rome DLC was a thoroughly enjoyable game in its own right that took some big steps forward for the series. Balancing more modern day elements, much to the irritation of the Desmond haters out there, Brotherhood adds a stack of incremental upgrades. These include fellow sneaky stabbers to set on unsuspecting foes, and an appreciated counter chain kill move that takes a gorily satisfying step in the right direction of fixing the combat. brutally destroying everything you painstakingly built in Monteriggioni. How could you, Ubi?
It's the Borgia!
How did we not see this?
Brotherhood also hands you the keys to Rome as a serious fixer-upper. In a clever feedback loop, as Ezio grows in abilities, so too does your connection to the city. While you've got Templars to slaughter with the nefarious Borgia family, Rome needs serious investment. Fix up doctors, blacksmiths and stables, and you'll have more places to shop and will make cash in return, further seeding the economy systems of many future creeds to come. And if you needed an excuse to murder more Templars, in a now recognisably Ubi move, Borgia towers are scattered across the city, each with a captain to boot off this mortal coil, and a tower to explode in a satisfying Michael Bay approved cinematic. It's the little differences that have a big impact in Brotherhood and hold the keys to a stack of future games in the series. The ability to whistle and have a horse instantly arrive that can ride through the streets, the introduction of fast travel points across the city in the shape of a tunnel system, and the beginnings of that new improved economy where you can find items that you can sell for even more moolah. We bet Ezio makes a mean bruschetta. There'll be no spoilers here if you haven't already had the pleasure of the cinematic finale of the Ezio trilogy. Oh, just look at that slow-mo. But it's enough to say that Assassin's Creed Revelations gives Mr. Auditore the send-off he deserves. Once again arriving only a year after the previous iteration, showing off Ubi's multi-year development cycle in full spin, Revelations effortlessly shows that it is possible to teach an old dog new tricks, especially if he's wearing a hood and his name rhymes with Schmezio. Leaving Italy behind, Revelations moves the stabby action to a beautiful Constantinople with Ezio now well into his 40s. Don't worry though, he's still climbing towers, liberating Templar hideouts, and blending like the best of them, even if Desmond is now trapped inside the Animus and wandering platform-based cube tunnels in first person. At the time, Revelations was criticised for being yet another Assassin's Creed game, but, like Brotherhood before it, added a new set of incremental upgrades as well as a more minimalist, darker interface to match Desmond's new state in the Animus. Once again, the combat became slicker and more brutal as you break defences and dodge blows, even if guards still wait patiently one at a time to attack, and Ezio's given the hook blade that makes rooftop traversal more fun and deadly. Ooh, ouch. Craftable bombs are tossed into the mix too, Eagle Vision becomes Eagle Sense, and a new set of assassin dens feed your inner risk player as you set your Brotherhood on various global missions. Oh, and yes, there's a reason why tower defense has never reappeared in any Assassin's Creed game since. So yeah, here's where things got interesting and simultaneously bizarrely boring. At the time, Assassin's Creed 3 made a big deal of abandoning Europe and eagle diving into the heart of the American Revolution for the big leap from AC2, 2.5 and 2 3/4. Not only does AC3 have a new game engine, the first of the Creeds to use the Anvil Next interface, but we have brand new cities like New York and Boston to explore, and a whole new Desmond ancestor to uncover. Given the perfect arc of Ezio's story and the love for the character, it was always going to be hard to get to know a new hooded hero. Unfortunately, despite a fascinating historical context, compared to the fiery Florentine, Connor Kenway has less charisma than a lone strand of spaghetti.
Building my own treasure cache, see?
Trinkets. Like what? Where?
The change in location and engine though brought in a slew of impressive updates to the core Assassin's experience. Free running and climbing is infinitely slicker, requiring less finger gymnastics, combat has a counter button separate from attack that doesn't require that high profile claw, and for the first time we were running through treetops and clambering up rock faces as Connor hurtles through the wilderness. This natural world kickstarted hunting and crafting as Creed staples, and a whole new economy system was born as we upgraded the homestead. Then there's the not-so-small introduction of naval combat. Sure, Connor can't move from the wheel of his ship, the Aquila, but this was our first taste of the maritime delights to come in later games as we plundered the seas off North America. You could say it's become, puts on sunglasses, canon. In so many ways, AC3 is the most maligned of the Creeds. We'll get onto Unity later, but when it comes to the evolution of the series, only Origins has come close to revamping the complete Assassin's experience so fully. Oh, hello, first playable female assassin. Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation was first released in the same year as Connor's Adventures, but exclusively on the PlayStation Vita, and it introduced us to Aveline de Grandpré. The daughter of a wealthy French merchant and African slave, Aveline trained as an assassin in the fresh location of New Orleans in the 18th century. This handheld tie-in is now available as an HD version in less portable form, and has one of the most intriguing stories to date, as Aveline explores Louisiana and the Bayou, liberating slaves and fighting for freedom. But, and yes, you knew there was a but coming, whether it was just for a change of pace or the fact that she was, a girl, Aveline's Adventures are the only Creed game where you have access to a dressing room where you can change into different clothes. Yes, you can switch to both a slave disguise and a lady. While wearing a long dress, not only can you not climb or do anything you'd normally want to do as an assassin, you can actually press a button to charm other characters. And no, in case you were wondering, that hasn't been back either.
May we speak in private, Capitan?
Who am I to refuse such a comely creature?
It's not all bad though. The blending techniques take a step forward as Aveline mirrors NPCs, and just like AC3, there's plenty of climbing around in the bayou and synchronising out in the wilds. Plus, Aveline's combat, when she's finally dressed as an assassin and holding a machete, is crunchy, and her poison blowpipe is particularly good fun. As landmark sequels go, you wouldn't really expect a series peak to arrive 6 years into a franchise, but here we are. If you'd ever wondered what would happen when the Brotherhood met Pirates of the Caribbean, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag has the answer. This triumphant return to form for the series introduces us to Edward Kenway, Connor's smart-mouthed grandfather and infamous pirate assassin. Suddenly everything about AC3 was worth it as we walk the plank and eagle dive into a vast open world of sea shanties, treasure and endless potential. This was a complete evolution of the series so far, under blue skies and drenched in rum. And yes, you can get drunk. Easy Ed. Cities like Havana and Kingston await the hooded hero, but the true giddy joy here is taking your ship to sea and sailing across a world with no more loading screens. The waves, the shanties, the fact that you can just stop on a passing desert island and admire the sunset. Assassin's Creed had always been pretty, but this is a whole new level of send a postcard home to mum. And those seas aren't exactly peaceful. Taking everything from AC3 and pushing the giant upgrade button, naval combat is shoved into dangerously compelling territory as Edward smashes up ships with his cannon before swinging aboard and battling the Templars for the chance to steal their booty. Either that or you can use their ship as repair fuel to do it all over again. Combat itself is better too as you counter your way across smoke-filled decks and make the most of those chest-worn pistols. Oh, and then there's the buried treasure missions, or the small matter of sunken wrecks to hunt for treasure and get involved in underwater stealth sections with sharks. No, hiding doesn't always work. Crafting and hunting now come as part of the Creed experience as standard, and that's not even mentioning how there's still a full narrative to speed through. Any criticisms of the game at the time came from the campaign, which still felt very AC to B, so to speak, with rudimentary tailing missions as well as the standard haystack assassinations and murder from the skies. For many though, AC hadn't felt like this since AC2, and it was glorious. No, there's no need to prepare your mental Michael Jackson popcorn gif for Assassin's Creed Unity. We're talking about the evolution of the Brotherhood. And when it comes to bringing the franchise into the future, there are few better examples of the phrase one step forward, 2 steps back. But, and don't at me, there are plenty of things to enjoy here. On the up, the story of Arnaud Dorian, French aristocrat turned assassin on a revenge mission for the death of his father, takes us to a painstakingly recreated revolutionary Paris. Notre Dame took 6 months of man-hours to design, and Arnaud can dive in and out of windows of the sprawling city, taking in the interiors of buildings that had previously only been facades. This is also the very first Creed game to have any kind of cover system, and even if it feels slightly confusing as you hammer one button, Arnaud does indeed stick to thigh-high walls while dodging the machine gun fire of World War II planes from the top of the Eiffel Tower. So yes, in trying to do everything, Unity actually managed to do less. On one hand, it's intriguing that you have to build skills previous Assassins took for granted. On the other, the return of health potions to a series that had been using the regenerated variety for years seems like complete madness. And yet, Unity was the first AC game to create more tailored assassination missions. More akin to Hitman than previous Creeds, each slaughter situation had multiple distraction opportunities and extra missions to add more choice than just insert blade in neck. Traversal is revamped too, removing that awful risk of launching yourself off anything thanks to the addition of a free run down option. Suddenly, Arnaud's blend of twirly parkour happily takes you down the side of all buildings and effortlessly sends you soaring into the nearest haystack. Everything should have felt bold and new as Assassin's Creed retreated to an enclosed sandbox, an upgrade of the cities that came before on a grand scale. Yet, co-op quests that don't always work, a map of endless collectibles that's the screaming epitome of everything that Assassin's Creed games can do wrong, and frankly confusing armour upgrades mar what could have been an incredible open world. And sure, the economy system is all about upgrading a theatre, but hey, we are in Paris after all. Released in the same year as Arno's adventures, Assassin's Creed Rogue is exactly what would happen if you stuck Black Flag in the freezer for a bit. Set firmly in the chilly seas off North America, where it handily reuses a stack of AC3's assets, Rogue is the story of Shay Cormac, an assassin turned Templar. This turning of the tables doesn't push the series forward in many ways, but does offer up an intriguing narrative, as well as assassins for you to murder who you have to sneakily stab before they, sneakily stab you first. Swimming in these waters is a no-no, unlike Black Flag, but the natural world here is just as impressive as Edward's Journey. The haystacks just have a little more snow on them, and despite a shorter campaign, Rogue is a worthy and sadly much ignored addition to the series. In some seriously perfect timing after the badly received Unity, Assassin's Creed Syndicate arrived in 2015 with a long-awaited and much lusted after Victorian London setting. Thankfully too, it's pretty gosh darn spiffing. Effortlessly dodging the pitfalls of Unity, no co-op, or eyeballs here, Syndicate embraces the 20th century with a glorious open-world London, complete with Thames for playing Assassin Frogger across. For the first time too, it also hands over 2 playable heroes for you to switch between at any time. The double act of smart-talking twins, Evie and Jacob Fry, assassins and gang leaders stabbing their way through London's Templar population, were a welcome relief after years of somewhat pole-faced hooded heroes. Oh, and they can properly crouch. Just watch Jacob go. Crouching. Syndicate is the most modern main Creed entry to date, and thankfully acts like it. Fast travel's there if you want it, but why on earth you'd do anything other than zoom from rooftop to rooftop with your own personal rope launcher designed by Alexander Graham Bell of telephone fame is between you and your assassin god. This wrist-worn device neatly accepts the fact that London buildings are skyscrapers compared to Creed buildings of old, and while you could take 20 minutes to climb the Houses of Parliament, firing yourself skyward with the press of a button is like having your own personal version of Ezio's lifts from AC Brotherhood. There are still plenty of hay carts, but this is a thoroughly modern Creed experience. Plus, if the rope launcher isn't your bag, perhaps hijacking a cart GTA style is more up your street. Manic vehicle chases come as standard in Syndicate as you send rival gangs flying off the road. Somehow, the Creed formula fits perfectly in this new setting, moulding around the historical figures of the time, upgrading your base of operations to an actual steam train chugging around London like a deadly version of the Hogwarts Express, and instead of a team of assassins, you've got a full gang at your disposal. Harking back to the Ezio trilogy, there are also gang strongholds to free from the clutches of the aptly named Blighters. Throw in an incredible upgrade of Unity's assassination system and the most satisfying cane sword combat the series has ever seen, and Syndicate tied a hooded bow on Assassin's Creed's yearly instalments. And finally, here we are, at Origins, where the rulebook was torn up and Assassin's Creed became what it was perhaps meant to be all along, the ultimate open world and literal sandbox, just mind the scorpions. Taking it back to where it all began, Assassin's Creed Origins takes us to the birth of the Creed in ancient Egypt, to Bayek and Aya, to the pyramids, to tombs and gods, to a world of sand, camels, and really hungry hippos. Everything changed here, yet somehow the essence of Assassin's Creed remained. Sure, you can pop Bayek's hood up, but you could also leave it down, play your own way through RPG-style quests across a sprawling Egypt without a mini-map, letting you uncover tombs and guard posts whenever you want. This is a world of choice and discovery, with Destiny-style loot drops, swathes of weaponry, an eagle to let you scope out the world from above. You can see all the hallmarks of the Creed here, but without any of the restrictions. Everything is permitted. High and low profile have at last disappeared, with light and heavy attacks finally revolutionising combat where no one waits their turn to beat you to a bloody pulp. Leaps of faith continue, but synchronisation no longer unfogs the map, instead upgrading the perception of Senu in an oddly satisfying origin story for every eagle on every sync point you've ever found before. Tailing missions are gone, replaced by more open-ended assassination quests. Challenges to dive into the waters of the Nile to retrieve treasures, or simply saving the inhabitants of Egypt from the local wildlife. You can go anywhere, swim in any location, and run from one end of the map to the other, as Ubisoft finally makes its historical playground just that. One is filled with ridiculous animal taming abilities and first-person remote control arrows, as it is with piles of hay and hooded heroes. It truly feels like this is the beginning of a new era for Assassin's Creed. Wherever you're going next though, you'll probably need your blade. Phew, we've made it through thousands of years of the Brotherhood, hopefully without too much of the bleeding effect. Let us know your favourite Creed in the comments below, and which series you'd like to see the evolution of next. If you think we're beating the Templars, drop us a like, and if you want a few more trips into history just like this one, don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G.